Let's do an exclusive tour of the oldest theme park in Germany, Erlebnispark Tripsdrill. We'll go behind and even under the scenes today on Markus Travels. Welcome to Tripsdrill Erlebnispark here in Germany. The park just opened 15 minutes ago, so let's go exploring. Tripsdrill is located less than 1 hour's drive north of Stuttgart in southern Germany. This park is very German, but in a really good way. It's a quirky park. The theming is based on the region, its legends and its culture. As such, Tripsdrill doesn't really attract a lot of international visitors. You can see it, for example, in the fact that most signs are only in German. However, it's still well worth a visit if you're in the Stuttgart area. The park features 6 roller coasters, and the main ones are split between 2 areas of the park. There's the original part near the entrance, and then there's the expansion that was built a few years ago. The very newest coasters are in the old part in this area that used to be a parking lot. This includes Hals-über-Kopf and Volldampf, which are beautifully intertwined into each other. Hals-über-Kopf is an inverted coaster by the Dutch manufacturer Vekoma. If that triggers some anxiety, I understand it. Vekoma has had a reputation of building terrible inverted coasters in the past. But this is not one of those suspended looping coasters, SLC. No, this is rather a new model, the suspended thrill coaster. And unlike those SLCs, this coaster is exceptionally smooth. It is not particularly forceful, but it is a joy to ride. Because it's not too aggressive, this coaster is suitable for younger riders as well. Hals-über-Kopf is the best inverted Vekoma coaster I have ever ridden. The name Hals-über-Kopf translates to head over heels. Hals-über-Kopf was also our first unique experience. As part of our exclusive tour, we were able to enter the restricted area of the ride. This also included a tour of the workshop where the crew does maintenance on the train on top of these rails. Another notable detail on here is this cutout that simulates the maximum reach of your arms and legs. They use this cutout to make sure that there's nothing in the path of the train that could potentially hurt you. This video is not sponsored. I paid for this trip myself. It was organized by my coaster club, and as part of the package we got this backstage tour. Another thing that becomes very clear when we tour the maintenance bay is that safety is incredibly important to Tripsdrill. They mentioned that each seat has 2 independent mechanisms for holding the restraints. Each of them can handle 2,500 kilos for a total of 5,000 kilos, and that is more than 10 times the expected weight that would be in the seat at any one time. That is a very comforting safety margin. As good roller coaster enthusiasts, we also got to check out the operations in the control center. The second coaster in this area is Volldampf, which means full steam. Volldampf is a Vekoma family boomerang coaster. It begins by pulling you up this spike backwards, then it releases you and you traverse the course facing forwards. At the end, you enter another spike and then you traverse the entire layout backwards, back to the station. Volldampf is a fun family coaster suitable for all ages. Here too we got a look under the coaster. This is the system that delivers power to Volldampf, and here you can also see various spare parts, even a spare couple of generators. The guide even mentioned that Tripsdrill often does maintenance more frequently than actually required by the manufacturer or by the authorities overseeing theme parks. Throughout the park, theming and landscaping is impeccable. Other than the coasters, there are plenty of kids' rides. There's also these adorable goats in this petting zoo. As part of the resort, there is actually a separate animal park which we did not visit on this trip. One thing in this area was really unusual. European parks almost never have water fountains or a place to fill up your water bottle. But here, next to the goats, there is this tap where I filled up my bottle. Tripsdrill was opened in 1929. As the oldest park in Germany, it put in a lot of effort into celebrating its 90-year anniversary with this exhibit in the middle of the park. In 2029, they will celebrate their 100th anniversary, and this promises to be something spectacular. Just below the 90-year exhibition, we have access to some of the secret underground spaces under Tripsdrill. Here we can check out the mechanisms of some of the nearby rides. Here, for example, is the mechanism for a spinning flat ride, the mechanism for their teacups ride. Now we'll move into the expansion in the eastern side of the park. And here we find the most iconic image of a Tripsdrill. It's this castle that houses both their flume ride and their wild mouse coaster. Similar to Disney parks and their castles, our guide told us that they too use false perspective to make the castle look more imposing. The flume ride looks really cool because you're actually riding around in bathtubs, and the queue line to the wild mouse coaster actually passes above the first splashdown of the flume ride. Across this big lawn we have the rapids ride, which is themed to washing clothes in these big washing buckets. In this area we also find the other two big coasters. The first one is Mammut, their wooden coaster. It's a pretty fun woody with a fair bit of shake and rattle as you would expect on a wooden roller coaster. Then we have the main highlight. This coaster is called Karacho. It is a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster and the best coaster in the park. I recommend that you get a spoiler-free first ride on Karacho. Do not watch a point of view video before going on your first ride. Karacho is incredibly smooth. It is very, very well balanced, and the mix of elements is brilliant. For restraints, you just have a lap bar. It is very comfy. There are two things to note though. Number one, the word Karacho in Spanish is apparently a swear word. And number two, well, there's one thing that Karacho is not, and that is tall. In fact, none of the attractions in Tripsdrills are more than 30 meters, which is around 100 feet. Because this park is in an active agricultural area, they're not allowed to build anything taller than 30 meters. But because Karacho has a launch, it actually doesn't need a big lift hill. This is an excellent roller coaster experience. Oh, and as you exit the ride, do not miss this vomiting animatronic. As part of our organized tour, we got to check out the control room here as well. And here too, there is a little surprise if you decide to take the tour. I won't spoil this for you. In terms of food, it's typical German theme park food. Unfortunately, I don't have that on video. But what that means is that in the sit-down restaurant, you get served on a real plate with real flatware. The food is not going to win any Michelin stars, but you get big portions and they're filling, and our lunch even came with a side salad. There are also lots of places to get a snack or a coffee. I particularly liked their iced cappuccino, and these donuts were super yummy. Outside of the big roller coasters, there's a good mix of different rides, but there is a clear emphasis on family rides. This park is in fact extremely family friendly. I'll just give you one example of this. In this men's bathroom, there are urinals at 3 different heights to cater for all guests. Tripsdrill is clearly oriented towards families, and one of the more popular attractions was actually this play area just next to Mammut. There were many different ways that the kids could climb around in this play structure. Before we come to our conclusion, I want to say something about how beautiful Tripsdrill is as a destination. The landscaping throughout is stunning. There are lots of trees everywhere. So unless you're in the middle of the big lawn, you will always have access to shade. But more than that, because we are in the middle of the farmlands, you can see vineyards on this hillside with a picturesque little building on top. This park really feels as part of the rural community. But there is one downside to that. This is nowhere near a highway. To get to Tripsdrill with a car, you will have to drive through villages on these small rural roads and across the hills of the beautiful Black Forest, and that is not a bad sight at all. If you got value from the video, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, Markus Travels, for even more travel videos. And if you'd like to support even more explicitly, you can make a small donation by buying a super thanks just below the video. Thank you very much for doing that. We spent the whole day here at Tripsdrill. It was on a Sunday in early October. The wait times for the big attractions was between 20 and 30 minutes. They don't post the wait times outside the attraction, but they do have these placards in the queue lines. They indicate how many minutes it is from that point in the line. Because we were part of the tour, we also got to skip the line a few times. And on Hals-über-Kopf, we even got a secret second ride without even having to leave our seats. This brings us to an end here at Erlebnispark Tripsdrill. It's been a great day, and we're about to head out as the park is closing in about 30 minutes. I would definitely recommend Tripsdrill if you're looking for a park that is more regionally inspired, but still super well maintained and has a fine collection of excellent thrill rides. One full day here at Tripsdrill I think is a good amount. But here's a bonus tip for you. If you are in this area in late September or early October, you can enjoy a very special festival in Stuttgart. It's called Cannstätter Vasen, and it's similar to the Oktoberfest that they have in Munich. There too, you will have rides and beer, a perfect German combination. You can get to Stuttgart with a train, but click or tap the screen right here to see what can happen when you rely on the German railway system. This particular train ride was a complete disaster. Thank you for watching Markus Travels, and I will see you in the next video.